He was one of football's first modern media superstars, a boy from Belfast who became the king of Europe. In 1968, at just 22 years old, he had it all: the European Cup, the Ballon d'Or, and a nickname that made him as famous as the world's biggest band, the fifth Beatle. He was a genius who could make a football do his bidding, and a cultural icon who defined an era. But the same spotlight that illuminates can also burn. At the age of 27, his time at the pinnacle of the game was over. His contract at the biggest club in the world torn up. This is the story of how the most gifted player of his generation became football's greatest cautionary tale. The story of George Best, the genius that fame and football helped destroy. Welcome back to The World's Game, where we tell you the stories behind the sport we love. George Best was born in Belfast in 1946, and his talent was obvious from the very start. When he was just 15, he was spotted by Manchester United scout Bob Bishop, who was stunned by what he saw. That he sent a now legendary telegram to the iconic manager Matt Busby. It read simply, "I think I have found you, a genius." After a brief, tough bout of homesickness, the skinny kid from the Krega estate made his first team debut for United in 1963, aged only 17. It didn't take long for the rest of the world to see what Bishop had. Best was just different. He had a swagger, an impossible balance, and a control of the ball that was almost supernatural. He mixed blistering pace, incredible skill, and a deadly eye for goal, quickly becoming a phenomenon in a red shirt. The mid-1960s belonged to George Best. He wasn't just a footballer, he was a pop culture icon. After a jaw-dropping performance against Benfica in 1966, the Portuguese press, amazed by his long hair and mesmerizing style, dubbed him El Beatle, the fifth Beatle. The name stuck, and Best became a symbol of swinging 60s. The absolute high point of his career came in the 1967-68 season. He was simply unstoppable. Netting 32 goals from the wing, his crowning moment was at Wembley in the European Club Final. On May 29, 1968, Manchester United faced Benfica again. The game went to extra time, and that's when Best delivered his masterpiece. He collected the ball, glided past the keeper with a shimmy, and coolly rolled it into the empty net. United won 4-1, becoming the first English club to ever lift the European Cup. Later that year, George Best was awarded the Ballon d'Or as the best player in Europe, beating his own legendary teammate, Bobby Charlton. He had conquered the footballing world, and he was just only 22. But the fall began almost as soon as the climb had finished. As Manchester United's dominance faded in the early 70s, Best's discipline started to unravel. The pressure of fame, which he had once embraced, now seemed to be crushing him. Alcoholism, the disease that would follow him for the rest of his life, began to take firm hold. He went missing from training, his on-field magic flickering where it once blazed. The end at United was not a clean break, but a slow, painful divorce played out in public. It culminated after a 3-0 defeat on January 1st, 1974. After years of disciplinary problem and second chances, manager Tommy Docherty finally ran out of patience. George Best, just 27, had played his last competitive match for Manchester United. For the next decade and beyond, he became a footballing nomad. He drifted through more than a dozen clubs across the globe, from England and Scotland to the United States and Australia, a wandering talent who never recaptured the magic and never stayed for long. His life after football was a public and painful struggle. The charm and razor-sharp wit were still there, but they were increasingly overshadowed by his battle with the bottle. In 2002, he was given a second chance at life with a liver transplant, a gift he was one not to waste. Tragically, he couldn't outrun his demons. He began drinking again. On November 25th, 2005, George Best died at the age of 59 from multiple organ failure stemming from a lung infection. Days before his death, he gave his final, harrowing message to the world, allowing a newspaper to publish a photo of his jaundiced, frail body with a simple, haunting plea, "Don't die like me." George Best's story is a powerful reminder of a fine line between genius and self-destruction. He was a player who gave millions of fans moments of pure joy, but who ultimately couldn't escape his own personal tragedy. Who do you think is the biggest case of wasted talent in sports? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. George Best remains one of the football's most compelling and tragic figures. For a few glorious years, he wasn't just on the top of the world, he was the world. He played football with a beauty and a freedom that very few have ever matched. He famously summed up his own life with a quote that was tragic as it was witty. "I spent a lot of money on booze, birds, and fast cars. The rest, I just squandered." The record books show he left Manchester United with 178 goals in 466 appearances. But numbers could never tell the full story. The real story is one of breathtaking brilliance and profound sadness. The story of the genius whose light shone brighter than anyone, and then, all too quickly, was gone. Now, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to The World's Game and hit the bell so you never miss a story. And if you want live scores and lineups for football's biggest matches, download the World's Game app. Link is in the description. See you in the next one.